The Chow Chow positioned herself between the stroller and the sidewalk edge every single walk. Not sometimes, every walk. 312 consecutive days, Megan Porter counted after the fact, scrolling through the GPS logs on her fitness tracker, each walk time-stamped, each route mapped, each one showing the same pattern. The Chow Chow on the street side, the stroller on the building side, the dog's body a 45-pound barrier between the baby and traffic. Megan hadn't trained her to do it. Lotus had assumed the position on the first walk after baby Finn came home from the hospital and had never deviated from it. When Megan tried to walk with Lotus on the inside, the dog crossed behind the stroller and repositioned. When Megan switched the leash to her left hand, Lotus circled around to maintain the street side post. Megan's friends called it cute. Her husband Ryan called it obsessive. The dog trainer they consulted called it resource guarding. Lotus was guarding the stroller as territory. None of them were right. If you stay for stories about the Bodyguards nature builds, subscribe to Nature's Bodyguards. On day 313, the positioning saved a life that wasn't the baby's. Megan was walking the usual route, Elm Street to Birch, left on Oak, loop back through the park. 3:40 p.m. School traffic, she was at the corner of Oak and 3rd when it happened. A cyclist, a teenager on a mountain bike, earbuds in, head down, ran the stop sign on 3rd Street. He was moving at approximately 15 miles per hour, which is slow for a car and catastrophic for a pedestrian encounter with a stroller. Megan didn't see him. She was checking her phone, a text from Ryan about dinner. She was stepping off the curb into the crosswalk. The stroller was entering the street. Lotus saw him. The dog planted all 4 feet and pulled backward on the leash with the sudden anchoring force of a 45-pound emergency brake. The leash was attached to Megan's wrist. The jolt stopped her mid-step, her foot hovering over the gutter, the stroller still on the curb. The cyclist passed through the intersection 2 feet in front of the stroller. He didn't slow down. He didn't look up. He was gone before Megan processed what had happened. Her wrist was bruised. The leash had burned a red line across her forearm. Finn was asleep in the stroller, undisturbed. Lotus was standing on the curb, feet planted, chest forward, staring at the spot where the cyclist had been. Her hackles were up for the first time in 313 days. Has your dog ever stopped you from stepping into the street? And you thought it was stubbornness? Tell us. Position is protection. The police report was brief, no contact, no injury. No crime. The teenager hadn't technically violated a traffic law that anyone could enforce after the fact. Megan filed it anyway because she wanted a record. The record she cared about more was the GPS log. 313 walks. Same position, same side, same barrier. The veterinary behaviorist Megan finally consulted, not the trainer who said resource guarding, but an actual PhD in animal behavior, explained that Chow Chows are among the oldest domesticated breeds, with behavioral patterns traced back over 2,000 years to Imperial Chinese guarding traditions. This breed doesn't guard territory in the way a German Shepherd guards a yard, the behaviorist said. Chow Chows guard bodies, specific people. They assign themselves to an individual, usually the most vulnerable in the household, and they position themselves between that individual and the most likely vector of threat. In a domestic setting, that's the street. Megan asked how Lotus knew the street was dangerous. She doesn't conceptualize traffic accidents. She recognizes movement patterns. Fast-moving objects approaching from the lateral direction trigger her positioning instinct. She's been tracking every car, every bike, every jogger on every walk for 313 days. She knows the speed, the distance, and the timing of every moving object on your route. When the cyclist violated the pattern stop sign intersection, expected deceleration, no deceleration detected, she fired. Every natural bodyguard deserves to know their position matters. Ryan stopped calling it obsessive after that. He started calling it operational. Megan added a second leash, a waist leash that attached to her belt, freeing her hands but keeping Lotus's braking force centered on her body rather than her wrist. The bruise took 2 weeks to fade. The leash burn took 3. Lotus continued her positioning without modification. Street side, every walk, no exceptions. On day 350, Megan tried an experiment. She walked without the stroller, just herself and Lotus. No baby, Lotus walked beside her on the inside, building side, relaxed, no positioning, no braking, no vigilance. Megan brought the stroller back the next day, empty. Lotus repositioned to the street side. It wasn't Megan she was guarding. It was the stroller, the cargo, the thing inside the thing that could not guard itself. Megan clipped the leash and started walking. Street side was covered. 351. The behaviorist sent Megan a research paper after their consultation, a 2019 study from a European animal cognition lab documenting protective positioning behavior in domestic dogs across 17 breeds. The Chow Chow appeared in the study's highest scoring group for what researchers called lateral threat interception, the instinct to position the body perpendicular to the perceived threat vector relative to the protected individual. The study found that dogs who displayed this behavior did so with 0 training and 0 reinforcement. The positioning emerged from genetic behavioral templates, not learning. It was, in the researchers' language, a pre-wired response to vulnerability proximity. Megan read that phrase several times. Pre-wired, not trained, not conditioned, not rewarded into existence. Lotus had been born knowing that the side closest to the street was her side, before she ever saw a car, before she ever walked beside a stroller, before Finn existed. The day she first walked beside that stroller, she had simply activated something that had been waiting inside her for 5 years, a behavior aid program written in the genetic code of a breed that had guarded emperors' courtyards for 2,000 years. The traffic changed. The breed adapted, but the position stayed the same, street side, always, 351 days, and counting.